Gamecock fans. It's the Carolina CrowLine. And here's your host, Tyler Garrett.
We may not be LSU or Alabama, but we ain't Clemson.
11 wins is for every Gamecock always.
Welcome into the Carolina CrowLine. I'm your host, Tyler Garrett. Glad to be with you on another edition of the program. Action-packed hour. I don't know if we're going to have time to fit all of it in, but we will try. Don Staley gets some good news today on the ladies' hardwood. The Yardcocks complete a 3-game sweep up in Knoxville at University of Tennessee. Some accolades doted upon of some of the young freshman ball players after their performances on the weekend. We've got stuff about basketball recruiting. We got things about spring practice and the spring game. You'll hear a little bit from Coach Spurrier and some disagreements he's had with some senior players. And we'll fit in a little bit of women's equestrian too. That's right. So stick with us after we jump out of this short commercial break right here on the Carolina CrowLine.
Ladies, are any of these symptoms familiar? Weight gain, hot flashes, rapid heartbeat, night sweats? How about fatigue, nausea, low energy? Or what about sleeplessness, low libido, and fat storage, especially around the belly area? If you're a woman over 40 experiencing any of these symptoms, you probably have hormonal imbalance. And until you balance your hormones, it'll be practically impossible to get rid of these problems. But you're in luck because Amberen is the all-natural formula clinically shown to cause weight loss in women over 40 with no big change in lifestyle. Amberen restores hormonal balance in women over 40 so you can finally lose the weight. And all of the other menopause symptoms simply go away. To receive a complimentary risk-free trial with a free 30-day supply, just be one of the first 50 callers right now at 1-800-851-8111. Free supplies are limited, so be one of the first callers right now at 1-800-851-8111. That's 1-800-851-8111.
This is a referral service. Calls will be routed to an independent referral insurance agency.
Do you know the number one cause of bankruptcy? No, it's not losing your job or running up credit card debt. It's not even divorce. It's medical costs. If you and your family don't have health insurance, just one serious illness or accident could be financially devastating. But now there's good news, really good news. A health insurance hotline has been established to provide health insurance for all Americans, even uninsured Americans with pre-existing conditions. Now anyone can get health insurance even if you have a pre-existing medical condition. I repeat, now anyone can get health insurance coverage. Call now for a free no-obligation quote on affordable health plans available to you. Again, this is a free hotline for anyone, even if you have pre-existing conditions. Protect you and your family from sudden unexpected medical costs. Call the free health insurance hotline right now at 1-800-838-5562. That's 1-800-838-5562. Call 1-800-838-5562.
The Southeastern Conference has established the most outstanding college football tradition in the country. The 14 member institutions have combined for an unprecedented 459 bowl appearances. Key to the success of SEC football is support of the many loyal fans who have helped the conference lead the nation in total attendance for 29 consecutive years. The SEC salutes the more than 6.5 million fans who will attend a game at an SEC stadium this year.
Welcome into the program. We are just getting things kicked off here on the Carolina CrowLine. Glad that you could join us on this edition. It feels good to be back in the big chair. We had our good friend at CRM Sports, John Rawl, put on the show last week. I'm a working man, but I can't work all the time. Went ahead and took a little bit of vacation, went out to Lake Tahoe. It was beautiful out there over this past week, but I'm glad to be back. So many things to talk about in the past 2 weeks that have been going down. So many positive things to talk about on the baseball team, women's basketball, men's basketball. Spring football is rolling around. All kinds of sports here at the University of South Carolina. If you want to go ahead and get on the Carolina CrowLine, of course, the number to call is 803-450-0086. 803-450-0086 to go ahead and share your thoughts and opinions about what's going on in Gamecock Nation. Of course, you can like us on Facebook. Just go in, type Carolina CrowLine. There we will appear, and you can go ahead and follow us throughout the week. We'll be posting things up there about things that are going on in the latest news here, with anything that's South Carolina sports related, really. Of course, if you are in the Twitter sphere, you can go ahead and follow us at Twitter. It's at Carolina CrowLine, at Carolina CrowLine, hashtag CrowLine minus the E. So it's CrowLin, CrowLin. Really, I know it doesn't make much sense, but that's what we're at. So if you want to go ahead and tweet to us, you can tweet to us there. You can also email us, carolina@y'all.com, carolina@y'all.com. That's YALL.com. Go ahead and email us your thoughts and feelings about whatever's on your mind. Of course, you can also download all of our podcasts at iTunes. Just type in Carolina CrowLine. They are for free, available there for you at iTunes. Of course, you can also go to YouTube and watch all of our webcasts as well. Or, probably the best option, you can catch us live on Monday evenings right on Spreecast. That's www.spreecast.com, SPREECAST.com, and then you can go ahead and just type in Carolina CrowLine and join the conversation. But a lot to talk about. Let's dive right in. Let's start with the big-time sweep over the weekend up in Knoxville with the South Carolina men's baseball team. This baseball team just coming off 2 weekends ago, a sweep shutout here at home where they dropped 3 in a row to the Arkansas Razorbacks, and talking about the slow start to the season, being exposed by a national power. Arkansas started the season, preseason ranked number 1, and they whipped the Gamecocks 3 straight here at home. Now all of a sudden, 2 weekends later, you get a sweep against Texas A&M in Columbia. Then you travel up to Knoxville against a Dave Perno coach team that has really struggled here. A lot of young talent there at the University of Tennessee. I don't think they quite have the arms that they would like to have. But South Carolina is able to come away with 3 straight. Now you've won 6 straight in conference, and now you're starting to jump back up and make your name and state your case for reappearing in the top 10 of the baseball top 25. So South Carolina is kind of able to turn things around. You get your ace of the staff, Jordan Montgomery, returns after about a 5-week layoff with some a slight elbow injury. He pitches on Sunday. He's looking to get back as your Friday night ace. And then Nolan Belcher, and then Evan Beal, it looks like, or possibly Jack Wynkoop or Colby Holmes. That third weekend starter is still kind of up in the air, but it looks like you're settling in nicely. Of course, Adam Westmoreland has continued to do what he does best, and that's continued to shut it down when he comes in relief. So South Carolina is able to steal 3 straight up in Knoxville, 5-4 on Friday. Back and forth, interesting 12-8 game on Saturday where South Carolina jumps out to an 8-0 lead, but then has to hold on as they give up a 7-run bottom of the third, and they're able to score some runs late and stretch that lead 12-8, and then an absolute shellacking where it seems like no Tennessee pitcher could get a ball over the home plate without a South Carolina bat being put on it. 19-2, convincing victory on Sunday, and I think Tennessee just got stuck into a situation where they just seem to run out of arms out of the bullpen, the quality guys that you need. South Carolina will now face the Citadel midweek game and then take it on the road down to Gainesville against a Florida team that has a wealth of talent but has somewhat underachieving lately, a team that you've come to recognize as being in the College World Series. Of course, a team that South Carolina beat in the College World Series final as few as, 2 or 3 years ago, I believe. So a team that's no stranger to success, a team that is still very dangerous. South Carolina cannot afford to go down to Gainesville and take the Gators lightly. But that's enough of me rambling on. Let me toss it out to Coach Chad Holbrook and just a few minutes of his postgame comments after that 19-2 convincing victory on Sunday. Here's Coach.
Into that situation and just having
the inning that never would end. He finally ended it. And then he kept us in the game with the ability to win the game. I always say that momentum is only as good as the pitcher that you're facing, and he stopped their momentum, and he kind of made everybody in the dugout comfortable that we could still, and confident that we could still win the game. It's not not normal that you score 8 runs and we take our starting pitcher out before they take their start. It's a weird game. It's baseball in the SEC. Their starting pitcher lasts longer than our starting pitcher. We were up 8-0, and all of a sudden they scored 7. We couldn't find an out anywhere. And get up a 7-run inning, we still win the game. Heck, I'll take it. I'll take it. And we had some big swings of the bat. Offensively, we squared some balls up. And Max continues to swing it. Chase, Graham had 3 hits, and it's a very satisfying series win for us. Now we got to try to play with them up.
A team high in hits, Max, hitting's contagious. Is that what it is right now with this club?
Well, I hope hitting is contagious, and it's good for us, or good for me to see us do it against a good arm. I mean, that kid's got a good arm. Williams got a good arm, and he's been around in this league and had some very, very good outings. So to perform and get some swings against him makes me feel good about the next the rest of the season. I thought we would have a chance to be a good offensive team. I just don't think we performed as well as we're capable of. Today we did swing well.
Ahead 8-0, Chad. Did you even remotely think that you would have to call on that with that kind of belief?
Yeah. It ain't ever. I'm sitting over there 8-0, and I'm thinking it's like a 1-run game, and that's just in life in this league. I know y'all are up there in the catbird seats and tiddling Twitter saying, "Well, this one's over." Well, I knew it wasn't over. And honestly, I'm proud of our team because when it was 8-7, they could have went the other way, and they could have said, they could have been sour. Instead, they were pissed, and then they played well and tried to win the game. And said, "All right, well, daggone, we got to keep going," and they did, and for that reason, I'm proud of them.
All right, so there's a little bit from Coach Chad Holbrook after that Saturday victory. South Carolina jumps out early in the top of the 3rd inning, 8-0 over Tennessee, but then Tennessee answers right back, puts up 7 runs of their own. And just like that, you run Evan Beal right out of the game. Evan Beal still struggling with some control issues, issuing too many free passes. Then he throws meatballs right down these hittable pitches right down the plate. Kurt Britt comes in. Jack Wynkoop comes in. They both get run right out of the game immediately after throwing just a handful of pitches. But then Adam Westmoreland does what he's been doing all year, comes into the game in middle relief and absolutely shuts it down all the way to the end of the game and allows our closer Tyler Webb to come in and finish the game. So, again, a lot of positives to take away right here over the weekend, and we'll talk about what some of those positives are and some accolades that some Gamecocks won after their performance over the weekend. Stick with us right here on the Carolina CrowLine. Welcome back into the Carolina CrowLine. Glad to have you with us on this program. There's something going on tonight. I can't remember what it was. Oh, yeah, a little national championship basketball game. Michigan taking on Rick Pitino and the Louisville Cardinals. We will have all of your Gamecock action leading up to tip-off. Tip-off is like 9:23. I don't know what's going on with that. Two East Coast teams, well, for the most part, Michigan in the Midwest. A 9:23 tip-off in Atlanta. I guess that's just kind of to make it kind of a universally primetime type game for all the time zones here across the United States. But it's kind of annoying because you know that game's not going to end until about 11:30. Heaven forbid it goes into overtime. It may even last as far as maybe midnight or something like that. I don't know. It just seems a little bit late for my taste. I'm kind of an early to bed guy. I find as my age increases, so does the amount of sleep I require. But enough of that. We might have a few minutes to jump into some national championship baseball discussions here at the very end of the program. But on the front side of that break, we were talking about college baseball. South Carolina, a couple things that I think really have helped the Gamecocks here lately. After that three-game sweep by Arkansas, struggling to get 2 of 3 against Missouri, South Carolina was at the bottom of the SEC in hitting. And the question was, how are we going to be able to turn this around? A lot of these freshmen, a lot of these young guys on the scene haven't quite been hitting, I think, as up to their expectations. And furthermore, there are several guys that have been in this program, like a Grayson Griner and a Joey Pancake, that we're looking for to kind of take that next step to kind of be those leaders, the Evan Marzilli, the Christian Walkers, the guys that have led us to the back-to-back national championships in baseball. And boy, I tell you what, some of those guys are really starting to come around. South Carolina was able to hit 45 for 120 with 36 runs scored over the weekend for a team average of 375, 12 doubles, and 4 home runs as well. By the way, South Carolina second in the SEC in home runs. I think just 1 or 2 behind LSU. Season high 21 hits over the 3-game stretch, with 10 different Gamecocks recording at least 1 hit during the 19-2 victory over Tennessee. Max Schrock, actually, your freshman second baseman, a guy that we talked about that Chad Holbrook said before the season was when he stepped on campus was the best hitter that USC had, became the SEC Freshman of the Week for his performance over the weekend. He batted .500, 11 for 22, 7 runs scored, and 8 RBI. He had a game-winning RBI double in the top of the 9th during that 5-4 win on Friday. So that's one of those guys that even though he's a younger member of the team, Chad Holbrook said when preseason even started that when he came on campus, he was one of the best hitters, can hit to all fields, and he was a young guy that they were going to lean on. And he's talked about that type of pressure, and I think maybe that was just a lot to dump on Max there so early in the season. But he seems to have come around. I'm going to toss it out. We don't do this a lot, but I'll let you hear some of Max Schrock's comments after that big-time victory over Tennessee.
All this change your attributes, right? Obviously seems to be coming around for you. Hitting the ball, what you see on the home run, and just how are you feeling to play?
On the home run, I actually took 2 pitches that I probably should have swung at, but then took a deep breath, realized that I still got another strike left, and he threw me a slider that hung a little bit, and I put a good swing on it.
Season high for hits for the team. You got to be feeling pretty good at the plate just with your team right now.
Yeah, I think hitting's contagious, and once one guy gets hot, another guy can get hot, and we just hit it today.
Max, you guys are up 8-0 in the third, feeling pretty good. All of a sudden it's 8-7. What was the mood in the dugout right there? Because they just couldn't get an out.
Yeah, the energy really didn't change that much. Maybe one inning, then came back in and realized we were still winning the ball game. It's not like they scored 7 runs and we were still winning. So we were still in the game, and I think that gave us energy, and that gave us a little fire to go out there and put some more runs on the board.
So there's a little bit from Max Schrock right there. Just a few final stats on him to summarize what he's meant to the Gamecocks so far this year. He's 7 for 12 during the series, 5 runs scored, 7 RBI against the Volunteers. His season average, 264, still nothing to really get too excited about, but a big weekend really helped him lift that average. Again, a guy who was, I guess it would be fair to say, underachieving, or at least not performing up to the kind of expected level. However, he does have 6 doubles, 2 triples, 2 homers, 24 RBI, which is tied for second on the team, and he also leads the team with 10 multi-hit games. So a guy that has a lot of talent, just kind of waiting for him to kind of get comfortable, get some innings under his belt. and really be able to kind of take it to the next level. Another story of the weekend, senior left-hander Adam Westmoreland, coming off Tommy John surgery, just continues to pitch lights out. He tossed a season-high 6 innings there on Saturday, 4-0 on the year. He struck out 6, didn't walk anybody. He's got a 1.3 ERA on the year, 2 saves, 36 strikeouts, and just 4 walks in 34 2/3 innings. And opponents are only batting 195. So at the beginning of the season, if you were to tell me Adam Westmoreland was going to have kind of that second breath of life, that resurgence in his Gamecock career, or Nolan Belcher was going to come out and be one of the lockdown weekend starters, I wouldn't have been able to tell you which one was more likely, because both seem pretty far-fetched for me. Both guys that are coming off Tommy John surgeries, both guys that have dealt with injuries during their Gamecock career, but both those senior pitchers that a team needs to rely on. So again, South Carolina really seems to turn it around. Hopefully they can continue the streak going down in Gainesville. And then you have an interesting series against the Kentucky Wildcats here at home during the latter half of April. And then you go out to LSU and then home to Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt, I believe, ranked number 2 in the nation right now. So it's going to be a tough stretch here. Florida, Kentucky, LSU, and Vanderbilt. This is definitely the meat of the schedule right here. South Carolina midway through the season. However, the big difficult matchups are fast approaching. This is going to really be able to tell if Montgomery is going to be able to settle into that Friday night start coming off that injury. Who's going to be your third starter? Colby Holmes looked sharp on Sunday. Is he going to be a guy that's going to reclaim his weekend starting role? So still some questions left to be answered here with the baseball team. Real quick, this week's Baseball America Top 25. North Carolina, shout out to the Tar Heels, currently ranked number 1. Vanderbilt number 2. LSU number 3, an opponent that is in the future for the Gamecocks. Florida State 7, Louisville 8, Arkansas that took 3 in a row from Carolina here in Columbia, number 10. South Carolina bumps back up from 15 all the way up to number 11. Kentucky, an opponent that's 2 weekends away for the Gamecocks, comes in at number 13. NC State, number 19. Georgia Tech 20. Mississippi State 21. Clemson finally appears into the top 25 for the first time this year at number 22, and Ole Miss down from 17 to 23. So a lot of Southern baseball firmly entrenched here in the top 25, of course, being led by none other than the SEC. That's going to wrap it up for the South Carolina baseball talk, but still plenty to go here left on the program. We got spring football, we've got men's and women's basketball, and equestrian? Equestrian? Yeah, we'll sprinkle a little equestrian in there too as well, right here on the Carolina CrowLine.
At TurboTax, we know your paycheck is more than a number.
It's being there for my customers.
It's lending a hand at any hour.
And it's having my coworkers' backs day or night.
You work hard to earn your money, and we're here to help you keep more of it. TurboTax has experts available to answer your questions by phone or live chat, so you get the answers you need and every penny you deserve. TurboTax, the power to keep what's yours. Try it free at TurboTax.com. Live tax help service is subject to availability, restrictions, and change without notice. See TurboTax.com for details.
That's the sound of Selsun Science wiping out dandruff. Introducing Selsun Blue Sensitive Scalp. Feel it get to the root of dandruff and gently whisk scalp irritation away with soothing vitamins B5, E, and essential oils. Now when you style your hair, it feels oh so good to the touch. New Selsun Blue Sensitive Scalp. Science for your scalp. Use as directed.
One day at a time, sweet Jesus.
Christy Lane has touched the hearts of millions through her #1 biography and song, One Day at a Time.
I cried a tear.
Christy sings all your favorites.
You wiped it dry. I could fly higher than an eagle.
Christy Lane's new special, 59 Timeless Classics.
You are the wind beneath my wings. I believe in angels. Something good in everything I see.
Call now for these 59 classics by Christy Lane. You get country, gospel, pop, plus new songs on 3 CDs, less than half price, only $14.99 plus shipping.
That's 1-800-617-1886. 1-800-617-1886. For Christy Lane, it's 1-800-617-1886.
All right, welcome back here to the Carolina CrowLine. We just wrapped up a little bit of weekend baseball. South Carolina takes on the Citadel midweek and then travels down to Gainesville. I don't know what they call the stadium down there in Gainesville. I was going to say the Swamp Junior, I guess, or something. I'm sure that's not the name of it. But anyway, a tough, tricky matchup with a lot of talent down there in Gainesville. Truly a test for South Carolina. Will they be able to continue their winning ways, again, rattling off 6 straight victories here in the SEC after getting off to, I guess, what most people would definitely consider a challenging start? Will South Carolina be able to keep the good times rolling? The Yardcocks out there on the diamond. But let's turn our attention to football. Again, football is a year-round deal. It's a 24-hour, 365 news cycle. There is no off-season in football anymore. South Carolina's spring game is coming up this Saturday down in Williams-Brice Stadium. Tim, who's listening right now on Spreecast.com to our live webcast, says, thanks for the shout-out to the Carolina, which is funny on multiple levels because he was referring to North Carolina, the Tar Heels, being ranked number 1 in college baseball, top 25. Of course, number 1, South Carolina opens the season here at home in Williams-Brice Stadium, ESPN national televised audience on a Thursday night against none other than Larry Fedora, former coach at Southern Miss, who we beat last time we played Southern Miss while he was coaching, as well as the last time that we played the University of North Carolina. We beat them as well up in Chapel Hill, and might I add, that stadium needs some work. Just a beautiful campus, a lot of pretty buildings, a lot of good places to go out to after the game, but the stadium itself, just not a big fan of that metal bleacher jungle out there. But I digress. The reason why this is funny on more than one level is because Steve Spurrier, during his call-in show last Thursday, was talking about the game. And this goes back 2 years. Everybody knows the Dabo's little rant after we whipped Clemson. I guess it was for the second straight time. Third straight time, I don't know. It gets confusing after so many victories in a row. But I think it was the second straight time. Clemson was getting ready to go on to the ACC championship game. And we played the credits here, opening our Carolina CrowLine with Todd Ellis saying, we may not be LSU, we may not be Alabama, but we ain't Clemson either. And those quotes somehow were attributed to Steve Spurrier. And the boys over there interviewing Dabo after practice kind of had this premeditated rant ready to roll. They were going to ask him the question, and Dabo was going to go in his little recruiting spiel. And I don't need to rehash it, but he said, this isn't a rivalry. This is more like a domination. My kids' grandkids won't be alive long enough to see this become a rivalry again. That's why the USC is Southern Cal and Carolina is up in Chapel Hill, and the university in this state is and always will be Clemson. Blah, 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 blah. So anyway, last Thursday, Steve Spurrier's talking about the upcoming matchup with University of North Carolina, and he goes, the Dabo or the Spurrier, he goes, yeah, we got North Carolina here opening the season. Dabo's Carolina, the Carolina that Dabo loves. Blah blah blah, and he just carries on. And boy, I tell you what, the message boards on the Clemson website has just blew up. Steve Spurrier, what an old windbag, blah blah blah, this, that, and the other. So it's very funny that Tim says, thanks for the shout-out to the Carolina. I don't know if he knew about all that. I think I've rambled on enough, but thanks, Tim, for that shout-out to the Carolina. I think we all know who the Carolina is, at least on the football field here in the past several years. I don't know. Maybe we'll see what happens here when they kick things off to open the season. But spring football is fast approaching. A lot of good stuff coming up this Saturday. Another thing I wanted to mention real quick, and I debated whether or not to even bring this up, but there was a tweet, here we go, on the Twitter sphere, players and social media. DJ Swearinger, former, I say former because he was a senior and he's kind of moved on now, getting ready for the NFL draft. Former safety DJ Swearinger tweeted or Instagrammed, whichever you like, I think it was on both, a picture of him and Justice Cunningham working out at the Strom here on campus, and he tagged it that Steve Spurrier won't let us into the team weight room. I see why players don't be coming back here to support the program or something like that. So he basically calls out Steve Spurrier and basically trashes the football program and says why he understands why alumni and former football players don't like to come back to the University of South Carolina, and that's pretty well documented. There have been some tense relationships here in the past with the University of South Carolina not reaching out to its alumni, to its NFL football players or past greats who used to play the game here for the Gamecocks. And it just kind of got totally blown out of proportion. A lot of people started tweeting them back. You know, how could you say that? Wrong thing to say. What's your problem? You know, that's not very respectful. And DJ continued on social media about how, you know, fans don't really know the story. And, you know, this, that, and the other, and how they were supposed to go to a cookout at the president's house at the Horseshoe, and how a lot of the seniors just bailed out, didn't even show up. It was a cookout to honor the senior class of the Gamecock football team, and how they just didn't show up. So Spurrier booted them all out of the team workout facility, and it was a big back and forth and kind of a to-do. And Steve Spurrier addressed this here at the end of the scrimmage this past Saturday, so I'll continue. I won't continue to ramble. I'll just toss it out to the head ball coach. You'll hear his reaction to some of the young quarterbacks, Connor Mitch and Brendan Nosovich, the young guys that are getting the reps now with Connor Shaw and Dylan Thompson, just kind of sitting back. You know what they're capable of. And then he addresses this situation with the players here on the end. So I'll just toss it out to the coach.
Yeah, it was a pretty sloppy scrimmage overall. Some guys did pretty well. And some guys weren't very good, but other than that, it was most of the younger players going at it. I think the defensive guys were in position and played pretty well. Quarterbacks were sporadic, and receivers, they dropped a few here and there, but overall the protection probably wasn't very good either. Y'all watched it. What'd you think? About what is that?
Not what you said.
Yeah.
What you said.
Okay. All right. What questions?
You getting concerned about Shaq Rowland after a day like this? Is this just
no?
an
He's caught most of them. Yeah, he's caught most of them all spring. He just couldn't quite find the handle today.
Coach, what about the center position? The snaps at times were, as you were sort of alluding to, sporadic.
Well, TJ's first year, he was sporadic also. So hopefully Cody Waldrop will understand he's got to snap it first, block second. He did that once or twice pretty well, but a lot of them were high and away. And we got to teach Connor Mitch, you got to catch with two hands. Just like in basketball, you got to use both hands, you know, or you're going to fumble it. And he tries to catch that snap with one hand, he drops it about every time. But again, the snaps were a little off. I tell you, that's one thing Connor Shaw does so well. He can catch snaps everywhere. Dylan's pretty good at it also.
How was Connor Shaw coming?
That quarterback, the depth and the talent you have at the position is the best.
I don't know. We got two. We know we got two that can play. We don't know about the others yet. But Connor Mitch should not be ready yet. Heck, he's just a high school kid right now, so he's got plenty of time to get ready. Brendan Nosovich, hopefully he'll come around a little bit better next week and have a good summer and be ready to be the third guy.
How is Connor Shaw coming along with his rehab?
Perry Orth, the walk-on kid, threw the last touchdown. Pretty dang good play because one of the new wide receivers went the wrong way, and he saw that he wasn't there, so he just zinged it down here in the corner of the end zone, and I think Quentin Smith came down with it. So that was a headsy play by the quarterback. The rest of them had probably just taken a sack, you know, when one guy went the wrong way. And but he chunked it down there and got a completion, touchdown pass.
And how's Shaw coming with his rehab?
Oh, he's fine. Yeah, he's right on schedule. Should be ready to run around in June, I think they said.
Is he benefiting from sitting out and watching from the sidelines?
Yeah, probably. Time will tell. Okay. Where else we got? Hoops tonight? Big hoops.
DJ and Justice, are they back in your good graces?
I think they are coming around. You can talk to them, though. Yeah, they should be available for questions.
Can they go back in the weight room?
If they've done what they're supposed to do, they can come back in the weight room. Correct. You know the whole story of it?
No.
Okay.
You want to tell us?
Well, okay, well, since it's out there, the whole story was we had a reception at the president's house. And we thought everybody was going. About 12 of our senior guys decided they didn't want to go. So it was a little embarrassing for me. So as soon as they write a letter of apology to the president, they can come back to the weight room. If they didn't think it was important, they don't need to come to the weight room. Pretty simple. Okay?
How many of them have done that?
I don't know, several. A lot of them are still out of town. So, yeah. But hopefully they'll all do it, and we'll all be happy again. But it was a little, it was a bad thing that happened a week or so ago. All right, that's it. Story's over. Okay?
Okay.
I don't know. You listen to Spurrier, and I know he's getting up there in age, but he just seems like, I don't know. He just reminds me of my grandfather a little bit for some reason. I can't really put a finger on it, but he just kind of seems to have this kind of unapproachable kind of grumpy old man syndrome. I don't know. I guess that's the only words I can find to describe it. I don't know, but he cracks me up. You know, y'all saw the scrimmage. What'd you think about it? He's like, oh, then we'll all be back to playing nice. You know, it's just, I don't know, just his little one-liners are just cracking me up. But on a serious note, when it comes to the players and their situation, look, if something has come up or if you already had prior plans, then you call up the president or you call up the coach and you say, Coach, listen, I appreciate the invite. I'm not going to be able to make it. I got this thing with my dad. Justice tweeted something about how he had plans with his dad who he hadn't seen in a whole year. You know, I don't know the backstory with that, and it doesn't matter, and maybe that's true. I have no reason to doubt what he said, but call up the coach and say, Coach, look, I had plans with my dad. You know, maybe I can stop by. Maybe I'll be out of town, but I'm not going to be able to make it. You are a professional now. Justice Cunningham and all those senior guys are trying to get onto professional football teams, and these are the kind of decisions and the kind of behavior that, believe it or not, as innocent as it might seem, football teams take a look at. Can you conduct yourself in a professional way? Can you be mature about it? Can you be responsible? If you want to be treated like a professional, if you want to gain access to weight rooms and locker rooms and things that you typically wouldn't get access to because you're a senior and your time here in a Carolina uniform is gone, then you need to treat people professionally and respectfully. I don't understand what the big deal about that is. I think that's just something that comes up with kids today, especially with football players. You know, DJ's comment about, I see why people don't come back to Carolina. Well, bro, what do you expect? I mean, if you're going to act like a little kid, then you're going to be treated like that. Now you have to write a letter of apology like a child to the president of the university because you bailed out on a reception and made your coach look bad? And then you are the one that's whining about not being able to use the weight room? I think that's a little bit backwards, in my opinion, and I think that's something that, you know, some people just need a little mental adjustment, and I'm with Coach Spurrier on this. Well, stick with us. We'll jump out to this short break. We'll be right back to talk a little bit about basketball, a little bit more about spring football, and then we'll wrap up the show with some equestrian. Sounds exciting right here on the Carolina CrowLine. Welcome back into the Carolina CrowLine. We are coming I guess 2/3 of the show is now behind us. Got about 15 minutes left here in this hour of Carolina News and Notes. I'm your host, Tyler Garrett. Of course, glad to be with you on this edition of the program. Monday nights, you can watch us and listen to us live on Spreecast.com, www.spreecast.com. We always post the links on Twitter and Facebook. So if you want to listen, make sure you go ahead and like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter at Carolina CrowLine, hashtag CrowLin, L-I-N, no E on the end. Of course, you can email us, carolina@y'all.com, carolina@y'all.com, that's YALL.com. You can also download all of our podcasts for free on iTunes to take with you wherever you go, on your runs, on your flights across the nation, to the gym. Put your earphones in when the wife is complaining at you to do the dishes. I don't know what you listen to or when you listen to it, but make sure you have Carolina CrowLine on your iPod or Mac computer. Of course, you can always go to YouTube and type in Carolina CrowLine and watch all of our webcasts as well for your viewing pleasure. Of course, you get to look at my beautiful face as well, which is always a plus and a silver lining to anybody's cloudy day. Right here, let's go ahead and jump into a little bit of final football news and notes. The nation's number one prospect for the recruiting cycle of 2014, Deshaun Hand, a defensive end out of Woodbridge, Virginia, was on campus. The number one overall rated prospect in America. The number one cat was here in Columbia for a visit over the weekend. By all intents and purposes, he had a lovely time here. You, of course, can imagine Jadeveon Clowney was close by his side throughout the weekend, as well as defensive coordinator Lorenzo Ward and new defensive line coach Deke Adams. Deke Adams, of course, coming from the Carolina up there in Chapel Hill, coming down to the real Carolina because he knows what side his bread is buttered. But anyway, a little dig there, but I'm coming back to the point. Over all intents and purposes, had a very good time. When you talk about kind of his overall leaders and the programs he's looking at, depending on what various articles you read, people give the edge to Alabama. A lot of people think he favors in-state Virginia Tech and Michigan as well ahead of South Carolina. But I think South Carolina is definitely in his top 3 or 4. Of course, he's got Florida up there as well. So South Carolina, really, this was Deshaun Hand's first visit here to the program. Just kind of picked South Carolina. Just said, yes, that's one of the schools I'm heavily interested in because of Jadeveon Clowney, because he is a game-changing defensive end. And Deshaun Hand kind of models himself after that and kind of wants to achieve the same kind of notoriety and wants to work as hard as someone like Clowney has worked. And what better place to do it at a place where Jadeveon Clowney actually is, which is the University of South Carolina. So it'll be critical to get Deshaun Hand back on campus for several visits over the summer and definitely an official visit over the fall as well during a football game weekend. But a guy who, if South Carolina is able to get back on campus, I think South Carolina really has a lot of staying power with. And wouldn't that be just something else for a program like South Carolina? Just a few years ago, back to 2005, 2006 even, a 5-star top-level recruit, blue-chip guy was unheard of. You had a few guys like a Demetrius Summers, who was a 5-star running back, come in during Lou Holtz's era. But a lot of those guys didn't pan out. Ricardo Hurley was another 5-star kid, highly rated linebacker. Really didn't do diddly squat in his time here during Columbia. But since Stephon Gilmore has come through, Marcus Lattimore has come through, Jadeveon Clowney has come through, these big-time 5-star guys, even Shaq Rowland, who was on the verge of 5-star status that you heard Steve Spurrier mention in that post-scrimmage press conference. These are guys that South Carolina now has regular staying power with, and that just kind of, you got to win on the field first. You know, a lot of people talk about what comes first, the chicken or the egg. Do you win and then recruit, or do you recruit and then win? You have to find a way to win on the field before you can really recruit. Recruits don't care about what happened 5 years ago. They don't care about what you think those national championships from Florida when Tim Tebow was around. You think kids, juniors and seniors in high school, give 2 you know what's about Florida's national championships 5-6 years ago? Those kinds of kids were in middle school when that sort of stuff happened. So it's all about the here and now. You can talk about the tradition. You can walk into Alabama's locker rooms and see all the trophies and all that stuff, but it's a what have you done for me lately sport. In South Carolina, back-to-back 11-win seasons. I think only one of 3 programs that I believe have done that, Alabama, South Carolina, Stanford, and I believe one other school has been able to pull that off here in the past 4 years. So Deshaun Hand enjoyed his time on campus. Hopefully that will translate into return visits and then success on the field. I foresee, especially with the schedule and the 2 big-time quarterbacks, again, a lot of success possible here on the field for the University of South Carolina. We'll just have to see. But again, the spring game coming up this weekend. Lots of stuff going on. The Garnet and Black spring game, 1 p.m. Connor Shaw, of course, won't be playing. Dylan Thompson probably won't be playing. It'll be more of a showcase for the young guys. I doubt you'll see Jadeveon Clowney out there with his $5 million insurance policy on those knees for the upcoming NFL draft. Patrick Davis, country music star, will be holding a concert from 11 to 12:30 in the farmers market. $10 to park in the farmers market. I don't know why you would park there when you can just park right in the fairgrounds for free. I don't know, maybe that's just me. All the trophies will be there, the baseball trophies, the Hardee's Trophy, victories over Clemson, the bowl game trophies, Outback Bowl and Capital One Bowl trophies. You can go on the field after the game. There's a cornhole tournament and a best tailgate spot tournament, so a large time to be had here on this Saturday. I urge you to come out and enjoy the fireworks. Hopefully they'll spread the ball around and you'll get to see some good defense as well. Stick with us as we jump out to this short break and talk about women's basketball right here on the Carolina CrowLine.
Work, but I don't climb. Boss man can shove that overtime up his can. All I wanna do is put a drink in my hand. To fill it up, I'll throw it down.
Ladies, are any of these symptoms familiar? Weight gain, hot flashes, rapid heartbeat, night sweats? How about fatigue, nausea, low energy? Or what about sleeplessness, low libido, and fat storage, especially around the belly area? If you're a woman over 40 experiencing any of these symptoms, you probably have hormonal imbalance. And until you balance your hormones, it'll be practically impossible to get rid of these problems. But you're in luck because Amberen is the all-natural formula clinically shown to cause weight loss in women over 40 with no big change in lifestyle. Amberen restores hormonal balance in women over 40 so you can finally lose the weight. And all of the other menopause symptoms simply go away. To receive a complimentary risk-free trial with a free 30-day supply, just be one of the first 50 callers right now at 1-800-851-8111. Free supplies are limited, so be one of the first callers right now at 1-800-851-8111. That's 1-800-851-8111.
The Southeastern Conference has established the most outstanding college football tradition in the country. The 14 member institutions have combined for an unprecedented 459 bowl appearances. Key to the success of SEC football is support of the many loyal fans who have helped the conference lead the nation in total attendance for 29 consecutive years. The SEC salutes the more than 6.5 million fans who will attend a game at an SEC stadium this year.
This is a referral service. Calls will be routed to an independent referral insurance agency.
Do you know the number 1 cause of bankruptcy? No, it's not losing your job or running up credit card debt. It's not even divorce. It's medical costs. If you and your family don't have health insurance, just one serious illness or accident could be financially devastating. But now there's good news, really good news. A health insurance hotline has been established to provide health insurance for all Americans, even uninsured Americans with pre-existing conditions. Now anyone can get health insurance even if you have a pre-existing medical condition. I repeat, now anyone can get health insurance coverage. Call now for a free no-obligation quote on affordable health plans available to you. Again, this is a free hotline for anyone, even if you have pre-existing conditions. Protect you and your family from sudden unexpected medical costs. Call the free health insurance hotline right now at 1-800-838-5562. That's 1-800-838-5562. Call 1-800-838-5562.
Welcome into the Carolina CrowLine. We are now Wrapped up our final commercial break and kicking off our final segment of the program. Glad you could be with us here for this hour of Carolina CrowLine. Of course, we'll be coming live to you next week, next Monday evening on Spreecast. Watch Facebook or Twitter to get the link and time for our broadcast on Spreecast. That's SPREECAST.com. But good news for the women's basketball team. Dawn Staley will be one member of the next group of people inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame. And this is the Basketball Hall of Fame. NBA, international basketball, women's basketball, the whole shebang all lumped together into one building. One of two women that will be inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame. Dawn Staley will be inducted as a player. I'll quickly read her bio that they put out today at hoophall.com. She's one of the most decorated players in women's basketball history. She was a 3-time Olympic gold medalist in 96, 2000, and 04, a 5-time WNBA All-Star, a 2-time National College Player of the Year in 91 and 92 during her time there at UVA. She was named the USA Basketball Female Player of the Year in 94 and went on to begin her career before the WNBA as a 2-time ABL All-Star as well. As a collegiate player, she was a 3-time Kodak All-American at the University of Virginia and still holds the NCAA record for steals in a career for 454. She led the Cavaliers to 3 straight Final Four appearances while she was there and was named the NCAA Tournament Most Outstanding Player in 1991. She's the only player in women's college basketball history to record 2,000 points, 700 assists, and 400 steals. So that is a tremendous feather in the cap for Dawn Staley, especially now that she's the head coach of the University of South Carolina. And when she's out there on the recruiting trail, even more so, when she walks into your living room, she's got that credibility, that legit credibility. She's been there. She's achieved success on the highest level, basically short of a national championship in college as a player. But, heck, she could walk through the door with 3 gold medals dangling around her neck, and I'm pretty sure a lot of girls would sign up for that right then and there. Of course, the women's basketball program here, coming out of the basement since Dawn Staley's arrival, I would argue that she's the second most important coach for South Carolina athletics, right behind Coach Steve Spurrier. She's got some big-time women to come participate as players of the basketball program, coming off a Sweet 16 appearance last year and a second-round appearance this year, continuing to bring in top-level talent here at the University of South Carolina, and that's just kind of going to even make things even more credible when she walks into the living room of these young ladies. There's a big-time prospect up in Charlotte. There's another big-time prospect here in Columbia that's coming up through the high school ranks as well that Dawn Staley has continued to develop a relationship with. So I look for the women's basketball program, believe it or not, to even reach heights higher than what the men's basketball program is able to do. And we know the job and the kind of coach Frank Martin is and the kind of job he has ahead of him and the kind of talent he's bringing in. We'll talk a little bit more about his recruiting class that he's bringing in this year and how the numbers are going to work out on your next Carolina CrowLine. I was hoping to kind of squeeze that in, but it doesn't look like we're going to have time for that because we're going to wrap it up with a little bit of equestrian news. That's right. I know you don't hear that a lot, and I guarantee you this is the first time we've ever talked equestrian here on the Carolina CrowLine. But again, just another example of the great things that are going on here, competing for championships. Women's equestrian, I guess it's women's equestrian. I don't know if they have any men on the team. When I saw the picture of, it looked like it was pretty much all women. So I guess it's either the equestrian team or the women's equestrian team. Maybe you can chime in and correct me on that. But they defeated Auburn to take the SEC championship title, and the equestrian team now ranked number 1 in the nation. Just one of those things that just kind of, you talk about South Carolina, the brand new softball field that just opened, the brand new baseball field, the brand new tennis courts, the new academic center, the new coaches building, the new indoor practice facility, turning the facilities and the programs around so that South Carolina can compete in a wide variety of athletic events. This isn't just a football school. This isn't just a basketball school. It isn't just a baseball school. There are a lot of other young men and women that want to leave their mark here at the University of South Carolina, and just this financial commitment that our boosters are showing. Steve Spurrier really kind of got the ball rolling now that Ray Tanner is a former coach and knows what he wants in facilities. A guy who's now your athletic director is coming from that coaching player standpoint, knows what young people are looking for and what kind of facilities are needed to be successful here in the SEC. So I think the days of South Carolina's kind of being that mid-level or perhaps even lower-level SEC program, I think those days are quickly coming to an end here, and I think you've got a couple key people to thank, like Steve Spurrier, and now Hall of Famer Don Staley, and, of course, back-to-back championship-winning Ray Tanner. That's it for the program. Glad you can stick with us here. Look for us next Monday night as we come to you live on Spreecast with the Carolina CrowLine. Thanks for listening.